Hey, you guys. Hello, hello. Come on in. Come on in. Your love is about to be changed. Once again, I am the messenger. I want to ask you this question. How many people do you know, and maybe this is you specifically, that makes their decisions out of fear? Now, you might not admit to this one, okay? But what I can tell you to be true is that if you're not living the life that you want, like in all of its detail, no excuses, no settling, because we'll always think of all the things. Well, it's because this that I have to live this way. It's because my work that I have to live this way. It's because my parents or my spouse or we always have the reasons. And I know even you are saying, but Delane, you don't understand my reasons. What I can tell you is the more I get to know me, the more I get to know you. That is a fact. And guys, I was like queen of excuses. Queen. I always had a reason, and it was typically somebody else's fault. Okay. So there's no reason that you can give me that's going to make me go, oh, yeah. Oh, I see why you're not living the life you want. Totally. Totally. Yes. Let's blame it on that. Yeah. Okay. I'm telling you. So you may not say, hey, me, I make my decisions out of fear. But I can tell you that it's just the majority of people do. And I understand because I used to make all my decisions out of fear. Because I was constantly asking myself, like, what if I don't make this decision? Like, what if I lose? What if I lose? What if what I want to happen doesn't happen and I lose or I fail? Okay. So if this is you and you've said to yourself, I really, really want this, but I have to do this because of this, this, and this, I want you to lean in because I'm going to talk about a principle that if you let it will legitimately change your life. Okay. And years ago, when I went to my very first like Bob Proctor event, and he quoted a guy named Clarence Smithison, who said, faith is the ability to see the invisible and believe in the incredible. And that is what enables believers to receive what the masses call impossible. I'm going to repeat that. Faith is the ability to see the invisible and believe in the incredible. And that is what enables believers to receive what the masses call impossible. I used to think it was impossible to get paid for what I love to do. I used to thought it was impossible that I could survive outside of my corporate job that was like full of all the pensions and all the benefits and all the cushions and all the things. Zero risk. I used to think it was impossible that I could be a kick-ass mom, a kick-ass wife, and run a seven-figure business. I used to think it was impossible. I was like, who can do that? Surely they have nannies and somebody else is dating their husband and I don't know. I was like, I don't even know, but this seems impossible. Okay, can you imagine though if you lived your life by these words? If you were actually one of the believers to receive what the masses think is impossible? The only reason the masses think it's impossible is because they're all thinking the same stuff. They're all thinking the same stuff. They're not, and it's actually not thinking. Okay, could you imagine if you actually were part of that group? My goal, by the way, is that currently 1% is now bigger. I want to expand that 1%. I want at least by the time I go, I want that 1% to have turned into 10%. That 10% of people are getting everything they want in life because they get it. That's what I want. Okay. And like even several months ago, I was inspired with this idea. And if any of you are kind of thinking like me, you get these ideas all the time, right? Where you get, I call them downloads. It's like all of a sudden I'll be in the shower, which by the way is like my biggest download center. Every day I'm like, okay, I get these downloads. Okay. Now the key is, do you do anything with said downloads? Okay. But I find ideas come to me when I am on purpose. And guys, I make it my mission that every day I am on purpose. If you're not thinking, oh, what's this on purpose? Reach out. I can help you find your purpose. Okay. When you are on purpose, you will get, again, you will turn into download central. Okay. When you're on track, when you're focused on where you're going, when you actually know where you're going and you're not just like, oh, my goal is 30 years from now when I retire. You don't retire from life, folks. It's not a thing. Actually, it's called death. That's called retirement from life. Okay? You have to keep going until you're physically not here in meat stick formation anymore. Okay? Quitting before then cannot be an option but for you. So retirement doesn't ever exist. Okay? So this is super important because as you get these inspired downloads, it's important to take action. But first, you have to consider your purpose in life, how you serve. Okay? Because, like I said, it happens when you are on purpose. Currently, right now, your entire existence, all your results are a reflection of your paradigms. Okay? We all have paradigms. Paradigms are our belief systems, and they determine our thoughts, our feelings, the words that we use, the self talk that we have, our actions. It determines everything. Okay, some paradigms support us and some do not. Okay, these types of questions that I'm asking you, I really want you to reflect on. But here's the process to move past those paradigms. And that is to notice when you are asking yourself questions that do not lead you to where you want to go. You can't ask questions that don't lead you where you want to go. Okay? So when people ask, why does that always happen to me, or why do bad things happen to good people, or that's not a helpful question. Why does that always happen to me? Guess what? You just attracted in another reason why it should happen to you. Don't ask yourself that question. The quality of your questions determines the quality of your life. But when you ask, some people call it prayer. Okay, when you pray or ask, you're talking to your higher source, whatever you believe that is. But I think we can all agree that I didn't create me. My parents didn't just create me. Okay, whatever you believe, doesn't matter. You call it whatever you want to call it. The point is, when you ask good questions, and then, wait for it, follow your intuition. Your intuition is your source energy, God, whatever you call it, talking back. Okay, but that's actually not what I was going to talk to you about today. I do want to talk to you about faith, but it actually has nothing to do with religion. Okay, there's lots of different religions, but your faith is that knowingness. It's that feeling that you have that you're on the right track. Right? When I used to when I first resigned at the hospital, people would be like, "How did you know that it was your time?" Because I'd been running my own business for 2 years before I had resigned. They're like, "How did you know?" And I'm like, "Oh, I just had this feeling that I was capped at what I could do within those four walls, and I was meant for something bigger." That doesn't make me better. It just means that I'm like, I can't, it's just a feeling. Do you know what I'm talking about? That feeling that you get that you're like, it's like when I first went on a date with Dave. I had had relationships prior to him that lasted for years. And I never had that, like, ooh, I'm going to marry this guy. I knew within a couple months that I was going to marry Dave, hands down. And it was like, well, how did you know? I don't know. I just knew. It was just a feeling I had. We're moving to Barbados in 3 weeks. And everyone's like, Barbados? Why Barbados? I'm like, I don't know. And guys, you'll follow along, you'll watch, we'll find out in 6 months from now, we'll be like, oh, that's why Barbados. That's why. I don't know. It's this feeling. Okay? That is faith. It's this knowingness. And everybody has access to it, but very few people are listening to it. And then they call me because they're stuck. Okay? The key is to choose faith over fear. Okay? The moment your belief matches with any state that you fuse with it, this new state of conscious awareness becomes your home, your viewpoint from which you see everything in the world. Like when I was working in the hospital, and yes, I was making 100K a year, but I only knew how to trade my time for money. And that's all I ever knew. I'd never been an entrepreneur before. I'd only ever had a job and I got paid every 2 weeks, right? So this was the consciousness that I had. This is how I viewed the world. Okay? And again, it's not right or wrong. But for me, when I was like, "Oh my gosh, like I'm supposed to serve in a whole new way," I then had to raise my consciousness away from trading time for money. Because that's not anybody who's an entrepreneur, you know that in the initial days, you could be like, dang, I just worked like 80 hours and I got paid like minus $5. Okay. But your faith and your knowingness and asking good questions, this is what helps with persistence. We were actually talking about this in study club this morning. Faith and persistence are the same word. And what comes first, the chicken or the egg? I don't really know. Doesn't really matter. But I can tell you, as someone that exercises her faith, that knows that all I have to do is know where I'm going, do it on purpose, and show up in service, and I'm going to get anything I want. Anything. And you guys have the exact same access. Like it doesn't the source that created you, it doesn't care your gender, it doesn't care about your socioeconomic status, it doesn't care about your skin color, it doesn't care where you live, it doesn't care about your sexual orientation, it doesn't care. It applies to everyone. Okay? But whatever you believe to be true is what you will fuse with, and then that's what you'll attract in. So, how awesome is it that all you have to do is start thinking about what you want? But that also means that you are in constant rejection of the things that do not serve you. That's a huge responsibility. It means, though, that we are in charge. We are in charge of our own beliefs. We are in charge of the flow and the direction of our lives. You thought you were at the mercy of your job or your spouse or your current circumstance or the government or the world. You're not. You are not. You are at the mercy of your own thoughts and your own belief system. That is it. You can shift that. Guys, we are built to do hard things. We are built of tough stuff. You've got this. You have to say to yourself, I've got this. And when it pops in that says it'll never work out, but what if I'm wrong? What if you're right? What if you actually get everything that you want? What if you're a total rock star? What if you create whatever it is that you were meant to create? What if? I love to play the what if game. And Dave and I did that exact thing when Barbados came into our radar. We were like, oh, this looks cool. This looks fun. I could work from the beach. That's how they were marketing it. That looks fun. What if we did this? And then immediately the noises in both of our heads. What if this happens? What if you fail? What about your family? What about the kids? What about schooling? What about healthcare? What about the dog? What about the hamster? What about, and we were just like, no. And we literally put blinders on. Boop, boop. Call that irresponsible, but we blinded ourselves to it all. And we said, what if we actually did this? And we started visualizing, what would my life be like if I didn't make decisions based out of fear and I made them out of the opposite, which is faith. Okay? Two opposite ways to view the same situation. But we need to believe in something invisible for either one. I can't see fear. I can't see faith. Yeah, either way, I'm making a decision from one of them. But I can tell you, if you're making your decisions out of fear, fear of money, fear of ill health, fear of loss of love, fear of rejection, you keep making your decisions based on that, you've gone as far as you're ever going to go. You're going to want more. I talk to people all the time. They're like, but I want this and I want this and I want this, but I'm not getting it. And then I tell them how to get it and they make their decision. They're like, no, I can't do that. That's scary. Some of them actually say that's scary. Most just say, no, I can't. You can. You can. I am like a product of the product. I am not an anomaly. I surround myself with people that are in that 1%. I know lots of people that have made millions that live in these like crazy, crazy awesome lifestyles using this work just by putting away the noise, putting the blinders on, and not letting fear in, and only making decisions based on what they want. I started doing this about 2 years ago. I was just like, I'm not making any decisions based on money. That was my thing. I found I was always making decisions based on money, down to like when I would go to a restaurant and I would be like, oh, this looks really delicious and this looks really delicious. This one is $30 and this one is $26. I'll get the $26 one. Does anybody else do that? I used to do that all the time. I'd be like, dude, if you really want this one more, $4 isn't going to make or break you. But I couldn't, it was a paradigm that was so deeply ingrained. And I decided I'm not making any decisions based on money anymore. And guess what? That's when I started attracting in more ways to make money. Because I didn't have a big problem with money anymore. And guys, the same thing will happen with your health, with your relationships, with whatever. But like you weren't here, you weren't put on this earth to be poor and unhappy and just going through the motions of life. Like this is wild stuff when you really wrap your head around it. Okay, if you were in a state of worry, this is where you have the belief that something bad can happen. You are in a state of faith, you have a belief that something good can happen. And there's good in everything. Everything. And you're going, oh no, Delyn, there's a situation I'm in right now, and you're doing your little head thing, and there's nothing good. And I'm telling you, yeah, there is. Sometimes you got to dig a little deeper, but it's there. It takes just as much to believe one over the other. Either way, you're putting out the energy. You choose. Really, like, why do we spend so much time worrying? Like, what a waste of time. But it's just so easy. It's natural. Unless you have, and Napoleon Hill says in Think and Grow Rich, unless you have an abundance, a money consciousness, you will naturally gravitate to a poverty consciousness. But you can switch it at any time. I used to spend a lot of my waking hours worrying. And honestly, because your body is a manifestation of your mind, I would get like to the point where I felt sick to my stomach, thinking about worrying about my family and worrying about their health and worrying about money and worrying about my job and worrying about I was in worry mode all the time. And then it became my new normal. Then one day I just decided no more. It was just a habit, and one that I had gotten really comfortable with. And I gave it up and I adopted faith instead. And just like anything, I tell people this all the time. I'm like, this work is not for the faint of heart. Like, this work isn't necessarily easy, but when you put in the work, oh my God, everything gets so easy after that. You're literally everything that you want becomes all your thoughts become things. And you have faith in your dreams, faith in yourself, faith in the direction that you're going, faith in your future, faith in your love, faith in your relationships, faith in yourself. The universe has your back. Everything on this planet is conspiring for your happiness. All you have to do is be willing to put your blinders up to fear and choose faith. Literally, your spiritual DNA is perfect. You were born perfect as a baby. And then you just got buried in all of these habits and stories and garbage. Generations. Like, not just from your parents and grandparents, like their grandparents and their grandparents and their grandparents. Generations of garbage. And you either choose to like heal it and move forward and start a new phase, or you don't. But you get to create your own masterpiece. That's actually what we're here for. So if you want to get on purpose, join me in the Power of Purpose retreat. I have them, actually, next one's coming up in June 30th. And we will be talking all about this as well in my free workshop that I have coming up next week as well. Next Thursday, Friday. Okay? If you are really curious about this, just book a call. Let's talk about it. But at the end of the day, you deserve to get where you want to go, and you're the only one getting in your way. Dang, eh? Thank you guys so much for joining me. Have an incredible day. Hello.